federal government has called for the support of international communities in order to enhance its technology in the extractive industries so as to build on the capacity of clean energy in the country. Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema made the call at the National Conference on Strengthening the Implementation of the Voluntary Principles on Security and Human Rights in Nigeria, the nation's capital. He said the extractive sector, which had various environmental pollutions, has oftentimes caused youth restiveness and vandalization of petroleum pipelines due to its destructive nature, thus resulting in loss of biodiversity and worsening poverty, inequality, as well as food crisis. Onyema noted that these challenges brought by climate change haven't gone down well with the host communities, hence it has become expedient to mitigate the effects of the nation's polluted environment for peace and harmony. The Voluntary Principles is an initiative launched in the year 2000 aimed at providing companies with requisite tools in addressing possible security and human rights risks in their operational environments, while enabling businesses to conduct a risk-based assessment, defining clearly human rights, complaints, daring, relationships that take into account national laws and public security, particularly on security forces deployed to their facilities. The initiative also presents Nigeria with an opportunity to create an extractive industry that is socially and environmentally sustainable to boost stronger economic returns for community development. Proud to this benefit, the present administration is with kneeling interest to ensure the full implementation of the Voluntary Principles on Security and Human Rights, which gave rise to the launch of its Nigeria Working Group in June 2017, so as to urgently address human rights concerns in the country. Speaking at the event, the Nigerian Foreign Minister Geoffrey Onyema, represented by the Acting Director, International Organization Department, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Nasiru Aminu, stresses that the country is faced with energy challenges. However, as a gas-producing country, utilizing appropriately will usher the nation into a long-term renewable energy infrastructure procurement and investment needed for sustainable energy supply. Thus, calling for the cooperation of the international community to pause the bid to defund fossil fuel projects.
Seek the understanding and cooperation of the international community to pause the bid to defund fossil fuel projects. We implore the developed nations of this association to work in tandem with our professionals in the extractive industry in building capacity for clean energy. We are willing to stop gas flaring, but we need the technology that will enable us to extract and transfer natural gas from source to end users without polluting the atmosphere. I therefore wish to enjoin developed countries to support Nigeria at multilateral fora against the defunding of fossil fuel and gas-related financing by the World Bank, the IMF or International Monetary Fund, and other international partners and entrepreneurs with investable private resources, as this will be counterproductive for our efforts to attain net zero ambition.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, Tony Ojukwu, noted that the essence of the voluntary principle is to involve communities in the design and management of any company's security structure. Hence, it is the responsibility of the government to provide the needed security training while ensuring that human rights are protected in the process.
Necessity for the Nigerian government to become a member of the Voluntary Principles Association, as government has an obligation to regulate businesses within its territory. Government shall fulfill its obligations as the primary provider of security. Government shall also, and communities will be involved in the design and management of company security. Government shall provide human rights training for security providers, logistic support, and general oversight. Government shall monitor and ensure that human rights are protected in the provision of security. Security arrangement will be all-inclusive and offer protection to business facilities as well as employees, suppliers, contractors, and the community.
Earlier, the co-chair Nigerian Working Group on Voluntary Principles on Security and Human Rights, Joy Bisina, laments that the tools were entirely successful, but due to lack of synergy, they could not meet the set goal. He therefore expressed optimism that the gathering will seek to address the missing links to the security and human rights concerns in the nation's extractive industry.
Efforts to use VPs as tools to address security and human rights concerns in Nigeria were not entirely successful due to a lack of synergy and coordination in the various approaches and engagement, as cross-pillar collaboration was lacking. Today, we have gathered from our various constituencies to discuss how we might utilize the VPs as a mechanism to provide mutually acceptable solutions to the security and human rights concerns in Nigeria's extractive industry.
On our path, representative of the Australian Embassy to Nigeria, Tosin Gbosia, political and economic officer, harps on the need to implement the voluntary principles, adding that it will play a vital role in enhancing peace, security, as well as promoting responsible business conduct.
Government believes the protection and promotion of human rights is vital to global efforts to achieve lasting peace and security and freedom and dignity of all.
The Voluntary Principles Initiative is aimed at addressing various forms of human rights abuses, thereby providing an adequate security atmosphere for business-friendly, particularly between the company and the host communities, for national cohesion. Vincent Okushi, QTV News, Abuja.